In this video, we will demonstrate how to install the central unit and get the entire system up and running so the customer can display sensor data in their customer account. The central unit collects data from the individual sensors, performs the initial data processing, and backs up the data to the internal memory. When connected to the Internet, it sends encrypted data for cloud processing using advanced algorithms, helping to detect potential problems as they arise as well as predict other undesirable conditions. The central unit is designed to be installed on a DIN rail. We recommend installing it in the main electrical switchboard or data distribution rack. The package includes the central unit, power source, and terminals for connecting the cables from the sensors. To install the unit in the electrical switchboard, you will need space on the DIN rail for at least 7 modules, 5 modules for the central unit, 1 for the power source, and 1 module for a circuit breaker, which is not included. If there is a water shutoff valve in the installation, an additional relay module is required and separate circuit breaker solely for the valve is strongly recommended. All you need is a mobile phone to connect to the activation interface to control the system. After testing all the sensors, the installation of the central unit takes place in 3 steps. Installation of the central unit into the switchboard. Connection of installed sensors and optional water shutoff valve. System activation through a smartphone. As required by law, only authorized personnel are permitted to perform installations on electrical equipment. The modules are mounted on the DIN rail by hooking the device on its top edge and then snapping it in at the bottom. Always position the power source to the left of the unit. Now connect the phase and neutral wires to the power source. Then connect the 12-volt power supply to the central unit. The power supply is connected to the lower left corner of the terminals. Plug the Ethernet cable into the unit from the top. Make sure that the other end of the router goes to the data distribution rack or to the site of the future Internet router. If an Internet router is already installed in the house, plug the other end of the Ethernet cable into it. Connect the sensor cables to the terminals labeled Sensors on the central unit, according to their color coding. Connect all the black, green, and yellow wires from all the sensors to their respective terminals and then route them through one cable to the terminals on the central unit. The red wires from the HT, MHT, FHT-C, and BHT sensors are connected to the terminals as well. The same process should be used for the wires of the other colors. The exception is the red wire from the FHT-I and the IAQ sensors. These red wires belong separately to the terminal marked 12V. Please be sure to carefully follow the wiring diagram. If you are not sure which cable in the bundle is which, connect it to the unit individually and test it. This will help you to identify which sensor is currently connected. Follow the diagram included to connect the automatic water shutoff to the system, paying close attention to the type of relay supplied. If you change this in the future, the wiring diagram should be changed as well. The auxiliary valve relay is placed on the DIN rail to the right of the central unit. Connect the signal relay from the central unit to the control terminals from the terminals marked 01 and 12V as shown in the diagram. In the supplied relay type, the signal wires are connected from above. On the bottom of the relay, you'll find terminals for switching the control wire for the valve. Connect the valve according to the attached diagram. Connect the phase wire through a separate circuit breaker. Connect the neutral wire to the correct circuit. Connect the valve control wire to the relay. Never connect 230 volts directly to the central unit. Usually, you can encounter two types of valves: NO, no voltage open, and NC, no voltage closed. The valve control wire is always connected so that the valve is open when the relay is off. To ensure that the valve is properly connected, perform this simple test. Turn the circuit breaker on for both the central unit and the valve. The relay should be open and should not be lit up. If the relay is not lit up, the valve must be open. If the valve starts to close after it's switched on, change the wiring of the control wire according to the attached diagram. If the relay lights up immediately after the central unit is switched on, please check the relay control wires. The relay should only light up if a flood is detected or if the command has been given to close the valve via the web interface. After installing the central unit into the switchboard, connecting the sensors and the valve, it's time to activate the system. System activation can be done with or without an internet connection. Should you choose to activate the system without an internet connection, offline, connect to the unit in the same way as when performing the sensor test. This means turning the unit on, then pressing the RST button for 2 to 3 seconds to pair with the Wi-Fi network of Senzomatic, and entering the address 192.168.10.1 into the browser. Then select Activation from the menu. Online activation is the best way to activate the system. Start by connecting the central unit to the internet and turning it on via the circuit breaker. Monitor the status of the connection on the LED indicator. At first, the light will blink several times. Then, within the space of 5 seconds, we'll confirm connectivity to the internet by blinking once and then remaining illuminated. Once this is confirmed, the online activation can proceed. Any other type of flashing indicates an error in connection. Connectivity errors are described in the installation manual. The most common error is the incorrectly crimped cable ends. After correcting any potential problem, restart the unit and repeat the connection procedure. To redirect to the activation page, take a picture of the QR code located on the central unit. If you cannot take a photo, use the online activation QR code printed in the documentation that is included. Once you've reached the activation page, begin by pressing the Launch Sensor Test button. Within a few moments, you'll see if the unit has successfully loaded all the sensors. In the event of a connection error, first check that the sensor cable is properly connected to the central unit. After repairing the connection, repeat the sensor testing process. If a sensor shows an installation error, check the sensor. Potential errors may include a poorly connected flood cable or loose screws at the MHT sensor. If, for any reason, the central unit loses the connectivity any time during the activation process, or restarts or shuts down, you will be alerted by an error message. In the event of this, please repeat the entire process, including the connection to activate online or offline. Once the system is properly connected to all the sensors, fill in the contact details and confirm the activation. If some of the sensors are not yet installed or will not be installed for any reason, please write this information into the comments box, including a brief explanation. After installing the remaining sensors, the entire activation process must be performed from the beginning to ensure that we are receiving all the correct data. After the system is activated, the central unit connected to the switchboard will begin collecting data which will be sent to the Senzomatic cloud server via the internet. If the property does not have an internet connection, the unit automatically backs up the data to an internal memory to be sent and processed once online. In order to properly monitor the client's property, it is important to have internet connectivity as soon as possible after the activation. Here at the end of the video, let's summarize what to remember and what to watch out for. Remember that the red supply wire of the FHT-I and IAQ sensors are atypical connections. When pressing the RST button, never hold it for longer than 2 to 3 seconds. Otherwise, the central unit will reset. Never connect 230 volts directly to the central unit. Always perform a reactivation of the system after installing new sensors or reinstalling a faulty sensor.